That's also not a strike. All right, Jungo is back. We got the brand new Absolute Power. We're gonna throw it against the DNA, the top shelf big tank from Storm. And then we got the Rotogrip Tour Dynamics as also an ASIM solid, but a little weaker core. So we're gonna see how they all compare, how they line up against one another, and see if you need all three in your bag or not. All right, so we're gonna get lined up here with the DNA. We're on 43-foot challenge. So break point's gonna be 11 or 12, and I'm gonna stand on 30. Once we get lined up with the DNA, we'll throw the Absolute Power, see what the difference is. So the DNA is like a really strong ball from Storm, one of the strongest balls they make. And you can just see how early that cover stock wants to grab the lane. So because of that, it's not really gonna have a lot of pop at the end of the pattern. It's gonna be pretty smooth throughout. I like using these kind of balls on the fresh, medium to longer patterns, just because it really does smooth out the back end. And I feel like I'm able to play, you know, a little bit straighter with it and have a little bit more room for error. Okay, one more. Let's try and get all 10 here. So I think this pattern is a little long for the DNA. It's just a little bit too smooth. I got that one a little right, just didn't have the legs to come back. I'm gonna bump 1 and 1 to the right. Let's get all 10. Ooh, yeah, again, really good shot. A little bit of half 10 there. The ball's just not driving through the pins properly. So I think this will be a good time. Let's switch over to the Absolute Power. Hopefully we get a little more pop down lane. These new balls smell amazing. All right, same line. Hopefully this gives me a little more back end. So the reason why I think this ball is gonna have more back end than the DNA, it's because this ball comes at 4,000 grit. DNA comes heavily sanded. Just by the surface prep, you just know this ball is gonna go a little longer and corner a little bit harder. All right, same shot. Wow, yeah, I think I missed a smidge left, but that ball really dove way more than the DNA. That's a good sign. A little high with the last shot. Let's bump back 1 to the left. Just by throwing a couple shots with the DNA and the Absolute Power, you can really tell the difference. Pretty much standing in the same spot, DNA just 10-pin twice. And then when I leaked it a little bit right, 2-8-10, Absolute Power, 4-pin, made a little move, got the strike. So I think if I were bowling for score, I would use the Absolute Power right now. It's just got a little bit more back end for this 43-foot pattern. Looks pretty nice. Now let's try the Tour Dynamics and we'll see what the difference is. In case you don't know, Tour Dynamics, a little bit weaker core, but still an ASIM solid. So I think this is gonna be a nice comparison. I think this is gonna be smoother. Okay, pretty close to the same shot there with the Tour Dynamics. First shot right after the Absolute Power. And it 10-pinned again. So I think the Absolute Power just has a little bit more pop down lane than the Tour Dynamics and the DNA. And obviously the DNA is gonna hook more than the Tour Dynamics. So we have 3 pretty distinct balls here, even though they're all ASIM solids. So make sure when you're buying one for yourself, make sure you pick the one that's right for you. All right, one more with the Tour Dynamics, same line. Try and get around it a little, try and strike. Yeah, missed a little bit right, and same result as the DNA. Almost the same ball reaction as the DNA, just a couple boards less overall hook, smaller core, a little bit weaker cover than the DNA, so, but very similar shapes. All right, Jungo's here halfway through the vid with the Absolute Power. My question for you today is, do you pay attention to the type of ball that you're using or that you're buying? AKA asymmetrical hybrid, asymmetrical pearl, symmetric solid, anything like that? Or do you just buy balls that you like? Let me know down in the comments below. All right, we're going back to the Absolute Power. Let's move a couple boards left and see if this ball keeps shaping. That ball definitely has more pop down lane than these two. If you're a kind of guy who's got a little bit more forward roll, you need a little bit more pop out of your tanks, the Absolute Power is gonna work better for you than a ball like the DNA. And the opposite is true for the DNA. All right, let's go 2 more to the left. 2 more to the left, came in a little light, almost tripped the 2. In order to strike from there, I think I have to slow it down a little, get around it a little bit, have it curve a little more down lane. We'll see if this ball's responsive enough to do that. Oh, really good shot. Wrapped at 10. So that ball does perform well to hand adjustments and speed changes. Got that ball to hook a little bit more. But I just think we're in the wrong part of the lane to strike now. We're a little bit too far to the left. Threw it really good, didn't strike. So wrong part of the lane. We're gonna move all the way to the right. We're gonna play a little straighter, more up the back. As you can see, the break point's gonna be pretty close to the same. Multiple ways to attack patterns like this. And we're gonna see how these balls roll from a little straighter. All right, I think I'm gonna go like 13 to 10. Yeah, you can really see how dynamic that ball is down lane. It really revs up, turns the corner pretty hard for an ASIM solid. So I kind of like that. Not all ASIMs are gonna roll at your toes and kind of be really smooth down lane. This one's the opposite. Let's go to the Tour Dynamics, same shot. This is the ball I really like to use for playing lines like this. This ball is really smooth, really steady, and still got that asymmetric core. So it's gonna pick up that much sooner, give you that much more control. I got around that one just a touch, but as you can see, it's really smooth and controllable. Right, I missed it at the bottom, I missed the roll, and it was still able to do the right thing and hit the pocket. All right, Storm DNA, big tank, same shot. So this ball's gonna roll even earlier than the Tour Dynamics, and it's gonna be even smoother. So this should look pretty good as well. Oh yeah, you see how much smoother that one is than everything else? Definitely a spot for that in your bag, depending on the lanes and the pattern, for sure. All right, one more with the absolute power on our straighter line here. Yeah, when that ball revs up, it really likes to turn the corner. Man, that ball looks nice going down the lane too. I like those subtle, darker grays, darker blue colors. Really nice. So just to reiterate, just because these are all ASIM solids, doesn't mean they're all the same. They all have their own characteristics, their own reactions. So make sure when you're buying a ball and you're going for a top shelf ASIM solid, you're getting the reaction that's right for you, that's right for your bag. Let's move back to the happy zone, throw a few strikes, do a recap. Ooh, that's not a strike. That was pretty good though. Wrap 10, let's move one board to the right. That's also not a strike. Let's move one board back to the left. All right, 10 pin, 9 pin. Jimu's calling for an 8 pin. I don't know how to leave one of those on purpose. Oh, there we go. Slap that 10 out of there. All right, let's go one more board to the left. Do our recap. All right, recap time. We just got done bowling with the absolute power, another asymmetrical solid from Storm. So I decided to compare it against the DNA, which is Storm's tank. It's really early rolling, really smooth, and can handle a ton of oil. So I wanted to see what this ball would do in comparison, as the original Absolute was marketed as a weaker asymmetrical that you can kind of stay a little further right with longer and not have to get so far left into the middle of the pattern as quick. So I kind of figured that this ball would definitely go down the lane a little further and have a little bit more pop, just because it comes at 4,000 and the DNA comes really sanded. I think it's 2,000 or 1,000. So because of that, I felt like there was gonna be quite a bit of a reaction difference. So we decided to bowl on 43-foot challenge, just to give these balls a little bit more oil and a little more length, just to see exactly how they would perform on more oil. These balls reacted almost as I thought they would. The DNA was really slow, really early, just flared a lot, and it can handle a ton of oil. But when you get a little bit too far left, it just doesn't have the back end pop to come back. So definitely DNA is for a little bit further right on the soup. And then the absolute power here, more back end for sure. As you can see, it just turned the corner that much harder than the DNA, ran over the 9 pin a couple times. The DNA kind of left the weak 10 playing the same part of the lane. So two totally different reactions from Storm here on the asymmetrical solids. So I think that's really good. That's really well done. The last thing you want is for balls to just react the same, look the same, and do the same thing. No point in getting both. But here, there's enough of a difference and enough of a change of direction difference that I'm gonna be able to bring both to a tournament and use them back to back and have good success. I also threw the Tour Dynamics from Rotogrip, just because that is also an asymmetrical solid, but also has a different design intent. It's got a much lower differential core, so much less hook potential. and I wanted to see the differences. This one has a little weaker cover, I think, where the Tour Dynamics has a little weaker core, and I just wanted to see how they would compare. The Tour Dynamics is very, very close to the DNA in terms of reaction, very early, very smooth, and very subtle off the back end. It's made for the fresh. It's made for when there's a lot of dry boards at the back, a lot of oil in the middle, and it's really gonna smooth that out. It just doesn't hook as much as the DNA. I was gonna say 2 to 4 boards less than the DNA, but very similar shapes. This, on the other hand, I would say hooks almost as much as the DNA, but just much more in the back end. So we got 3 asymmetrical solids here with 3 different reactions and 3 different times of use, I think. If we're bowling for a score on this 43-foot challenge, I would definitely be using this Absolute Power. It just has that more back-end pop that I need, where the DNA is a little slow, probably need a little bit more oil, maybe a little shorter oil for the DNA, but 43 feet and even longer, I would say 45, 46, this Absolute Power is gonna be great. I'm gonna use it on those patterns for sure. Again, don't forget my question down below. Do you pay attention to the type of ball you're using? Asymmetrical solid, symmetrical pearl, that kind of thing? Or do you just buy balls that you like and kind of figure out where they fit after that? Let me know down in the comments below. So if you're looking for a brand new ball, you don't have a pro shop nearby, shop.boofabowling.com, promo code JungoBarks, 10% off your order at checkout. And he has absolutely everything, all the new stuff, giant warehouse. Go take a look at his website. See you in the next vid. Thank you for watching.